We've got a massive week 5 on deck. Dare I say, this is the biggest and maybe the most consequential weekend of the season. I mean, it's so big. We are breaking our preview episodes up into 2 parts. So this is part 1. We're going to cover 5 games tonight. We're going to do 5 more on Thursday. We've got the Ryder Cup 2 this weekend going on as well. Sports fans in general are just rejoicing, dude. I feel bad for all of you out there that are being dragged to a fall wedding this weekend, or God forbid, the pumpkin patch in September. A pumpkin patch? Come on, get a hold of your lives, people. This is Always Talking Ball. Tyler Nohe, Lance Barton. Real quick before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube right now, click the like video or the like button on that video. Make sure you're following us on X, Instagram, and TikTok. Let's get right into our big game breakdown, sponsored by Branded Bills. Got a Branded Bills hats on right here. Click the link in the episode description or the QR code that is in the top right of the screen. It's on YouTube right now. Type in Branded15 for your code at checkout. You get some sweet hats like this, Little Dad Life, Little America. They've got all kinds of colleges, universities out there. I'm willing to bet they probably have your favorite team. They got a lot of teams that we're going to talk about right now. So, Lance, there's really no better place to start than down in Athens. It's Sanford Stadium, 7:30 on ABC. Number 17, Alabama, going on the road to face number 5, Georgia. Georgia comes in as a 3-point favorite on the game. We all remember this game last year, 41-34 victory for the tie. They jump out to that 28-0 lead, up by 23 at halftime. Georgia mounts a comeback. Carson Beck looks like 2023 Carson Beck finally. I don't know if we're going to get that this year, man. Like, I just, for me, 75 points would be a lot in this game. I mean, it's a lot in any Alabama-Georgia game, but again, like every other game, trenches is where it starts. Like, can Alabama run the ball on Georgia? Alabama struggled to run the ball this year. Luckily, they haven't had to a lot because Ty Simpson has been near flawless passing the ball. It's his first road start, though. So, I mean, obviously, how will that affect him? Second road start, my bad. Second road start. We don't want to remember the first one, right? So, how will that affect him going into Sanford? These two teams, the last 7 times they've played, none of them have been in Athens. Like 4 of them have been were in Atlanta, 2 are in Tuscaloosa, 1 was here in Indy. So they're finally getting a game back there in Sanford. All those Georgia fans who's held on the season tickets for so long, finally getting Alabama, Texas, Ole Miss coming to town. So, I mean, trenches is obviously where it starts for you too, right?
Yeah, 100%, man. No question. And Georgia's doing the blackout again this year, and they may have done it since the 2008 Alabama-Georgia game, which, by the way, I was at that game. That was my only time I've ever been to Athens, and let me tell you, man, that I walked away with so much respect for how loud that place can get, just the overall game day atmosphere, and like Athens as a college town in general. I mean, some people say that Athens is one of the best college towns, if not the best in the country. And dude, there's I'm sure that somebody can check me on this on YouTube in the comments, but like the amount of bars that are within a 2-block radius of each other there in Athens on campus there is insane. And they're all just a blast. It's a great college town, man. But I mean, yeah, it starts up front, man, in the trenches in this game, especially when these two teams lock up. For Alabama, like, we're going to sit here and talk about this game for however long, but it really is just as simple as this for Alabama. It's the offensive line. Can Alabama's offensive line protect Ty Simpson? And because through the last 2 weeks, we now know enough. We've seen enough of Ty Simpson now through 3 ball games. If they give him time, he's going to pick you apart. And I know some people are going to laugh and say, "Oh, it was against, who they beat, who they play, whatever the last 2 weeks, the last 2 games, that's fine." I don't care if you're standing out in the backyard against air. The throws that he's making are ridiculous. You watch a lot of other quarterbacks that's playing against some of these other weaker teams, and they're not making those types of throws. I mean, he's like 41 for 46 with however many, I think 9 total touchdowns and 0 picks. And of those 5 completions, 3 of them were drops that he put directly on the money. So he has shown that if he has time and he's not under pressure, that he can absolutely dot you up. The problem with that is is the only time we've seen him in a road game, which again was his first road start in Tallahassee, and things went bad. He didn't play bad in that game. He
Yeah.
played fine. He just didn't look as overall solid in that game as he did the other 2 games. Part of that probably had to do with some competition, but in my opinion, the most of that had to do with is the dude was just constantly under pressure and running for his life. And so that's my point. If Alabama's offensive line can't protect him, and Georgia's got dudes just running free, and there's blocking scheme breakdowns, and there's dudes just missing blocking assignments, and there's just free rushers coming after Simpson. And then that crowd and that environment and all the stuff that comes along with that, with the word that Nick Saban used to use, competitive anxiety, it just things snowball in a hurry. If
Yeah.
that happens, it's going to be a long night for the Alabama offense. Uh, I'm interested to see what you think about this. Like when I'm really breaking down this matchup, I think Alabama wide receivers versus Georgia secondary. I think Alabama has the upper hand in that matchup, not like by some wide margin, but I think they've got an upper hand in that matchup.
Did you see Georgia's secondary against Tennessee?
Right. And I'm going to get to that here in a second. Then on Alabama's defense, I think Alabama has the upper hand with their secondary against Georgia's wide receivers. I think Georgia's wide receivers are very good. But I think that Alabama, I mean, again, I don't think it's some wide margin. I'm not sitting here saying that, oh, Alabama is so much better in the secondary than Georgia's wide receivers. It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, but I do think they have a little bit of the upper hand there. The area and Georgia's offensive line is another one. They haven't looked just like fantastic through the first 3 weeks of the season. They have some issues there of their own. They had issues last year along the offensive line. It's just strange, man. We're talking about these 2 teams that we're talking about right now, and the questions that you have going into this game are at the line of scrimmage. Georgia is very stout on the line of scrimmage, and they've got really good dudes on the defensive line, but they don't have the just get after the quarterback game wreckers along the defensive line and from a pass rushing standpoint. Neither does Alabama. Each of those teams have really good players, former 5-stars on the D line that are very good run stuffers, and they can get some inside penetration like a James Smith or a Christian Miller for both teams. Like they have, Tim Keenan is supposed to be back for Alabama this week. He's going to obviously add a huge, just from a leadership standpoint and stuff too. He has a huge dynamic there, but yeah, like really, I mean, if Georgia can't protect, and if Alabama can't protect, then it's going to be a long night for both offenses, and it will be a lower scoring game, like you said. I'm curious, though, on your thoughts. Do you think with Jam Miller coming, he's going to be back this week as well. Do you think that Alabama is going to be able to have any success at all in the running game? Because so far this year, the running game's been kind of, it's just been okay.
It's going to be tough because, I mean, if you look back historically, yeah, a lot of these 2 teams, and they match up in the trenches, they've been a lot better. The offensive lines have been a lot better. They've had a lot more depth. Obviously, we've talked about the portal and the attrition that's caused to a lot of these big time programs, but they've always been like a little better on the defensive side, both of them. So they've always been able to like kind of stonewall each other's run games.
Yep.
I think where Jam Miller comes in is that he will be able to pick up those blitzers a little bit better and pass protect for Ty Simpson. And like you said, with Ty Simpson, if you give him time, he will hit the guys on the money. They're going to have to take some deep shots. If you look back at that game last year, obviously Miller was taking tons of shots. Again, for me, it's going to come down to both of these guys, Gunnar Stockton and Ty Simpson, are very underrated with their legs. They're not Jalen Milroe.
Right.
They're not going to do what he did last year in the first half to Georgia. But if they can do anything with their legs at all, first quarter, first half, to like, soften up the defense a little bit, that's going to be huge for those respective teams.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think the QB run game is going to come into play for both of these teams. Simpson is a very underrated athlete. Kirby was even talking about it this week. Kirby said, pulling up every snap that Ty Simpson's had in his career at Alabama. When you look back too, he was even talking about when he was coming out of high school. He was a dual threat coming out of high school. And Simpson is a really good runner. He's just not Jalen Milroe type runner. And Stockton's a different type of runner than Simpson. Stockton's more of a kind of a power QB run type guy, tough in between the tackles. He's got some speed though.
Little Riley Leonard.
Yeah. And so what hurts both of these defenses. I mean, we've talked about like before, man. The thing that just hurt the Nick Saban defenses and it's hurt the Kirby Smart defenses are the dual threat quarterbacks. And again, I'm going to put the emphasis on dual threat. You've got to be equally good at throwing the football and running the football. You can't just be a runner. You've got to be able to throw and run. And so Alabama last year, and even again start the season in Castellanos there at Florida State, they've shown like issues of stopping like really quick, fast type dual threat quarterbacks. And again, Stockton's not a Castellanos as far as his speed's concerned, but will they have some success and run a little bit of the RPO type deal? So that I do think the QB run game will come into play. I think both teams will try it and see if they can have some success there. Alabama's going to at least try it after what happened last year in that game in the QB run game. But I think it's a little bit of a different approach though from an offensive standpoint and how Georgia's going to defend Alabama because again, it's not as big of a threat as a Milroe was.
Yeah, I'm interested to see too. Just again, Mike Bobo gets all kinds of criticism for his play calling, and Kane Womack has probably seen some criticism from Alabama, especially last year until he got that fixed in the second half of the season. But it's going to be interesting to see the chess match on that side of the ball, and obviously, on the other side, Ryan Grubb versus Glenn Schumann. So,
and on that front, I mean, Kalen DeBoer. He has been a very good big game coach.
I said that before the Florida State game, and he made me look like an idiot.
Yeah, he did. But he has been a very good big game coach.
And Kirby, we talked about Kirby all the time having a Nick Saban problem, but last year everyone kind of shifted a little bit. Okay, maybe it wasn't a Nick Saban problem, maybe it was an Alabama problem. So this is kind of going to be like the test on that, right?
Yeah, it is. And so the number one thing for that Alabama, again, this was Nick Saban used to talk about this all the time, and he fell in love with it when Nick Saban made the change at Alabama to the type of offense that he had with Tua Tagovailoa and those receivers and the ride outs. And then he went to, Mac Jones. They continued it, and then he continued it with Bryce Young. What I'm getting at is the explosive plays in the passing game that kills a defense. And it's just so hard, man, to line up for 4 quarters against a Kirby Smart coach Georgia defense with the talent that they've got and just methodically move the football consistently down the field multiple times across 4 quarters. You're not going to do it, honestly. It's rare that it happens. And if you think about it, like I actually went back and looked at this. Teams that have just lined up against Georgia and just like physically whipped them and they beat them just straight up from a physicality standpoint and didn't have a bunch of explosive plays in the passing game. Notre Dame did it last year in the Sugar Bowl, and Ole Miss did it to them last year. And like you think like Georgia against Texas. Texas's issue was they had problems last year, and they still do right now, of explosive plays in the passing game. That's why Texas mightily struggled against Georgia because they couldn't do it. So you think about all the losses that Georgia has had to Alabama over the last several years. That Bryce Young team, when they beat him in the SEC championship game, when everybody thought that was just no chance that Alabama had in that game, and they just absolutely lit them up with John Mechie and with Jamison Williams in the explosive passing games. You saw last year explosive plays for Jalen Milroe in the passing game with Ryan Williams. Like most of these games and most of the games that Georgia does have issues with, it's explosive plays in the passing game. Tennessee, 2 weeks ago, what was the reason that they stayed in that football game?
Explosive passing
plays in the passing game. They just took shots and threw alley-oops down the field, and they hit on them. So
I guess we really haven't seen Simpson do that. I mean, he's been just accurate over the middle, kind of medium. So he hasn't really just launched it because he hasn't had to.
Yeah, and it's not necessary. It doesn't have to be like Simpson's got to throw it 50 yards down the field to hit an explosive. It can be you throw a 10-yard out route to Ryan Williams and he breaks a tackle and goes 75 down the sidelines. Or it can be Jeremy Bernard gets loose and, makes a play. Like, my point is what can Alabama do to create some explosives? Because, I agree with you. So far this year, there hasn't been just a bunch of those that we've seen. We haven't seen Simpson just throw a bunch of shot plays yet. They're going to have to be able to do that in this game. I just don't think that they're going to be able to line up and run right and run left and just methodically move the football consistently down the field against them. I don't think Georgia can do that either. I think Stockton's going to have to hit some explosive plays in the passing game. So which team can hit on them and which team defensively can stop them? And the last key to this game that I'm going to give Alabama, the last five, is it six now? I think it's 6 games away from Tuscaloosa. They're 1-5.
Mm-hmm.
Last 6 games away from Tuscaloosa under Kalen DeBoer. They're 1-5 in those games. There's a few things that have been that have been the same in all of them. Turnovers, multiple turnovers. I went back and looked. They're averaging a little over 2 turnovers per game in those games, and then penalties. They've had issues with penalties and turnovers in all of those games.
They've issued penalties for years.
Yes, they have.
Yeah.
And so Alabama's got to play mistake. They can't make a bunch of mistakes. If they do, Georgia's going to beat them. They're going to beat them going away. And they've got to be able to hit some explosive plays in the passing game on offense. Or to me, of how Alabama is going to be able to have success in this game.
All right, game picks. I'm going to go first. I mean, I don't think anybody knows. It's a surprise where you're going. We'll see. We'll see if you surprise us. But I was fully prepared to come in and take the home team here, but I gotta stick to my roots, and I've got to stick to the fact that I've been saying it all offseason long. I thought that Alabama was going to go into Athens and get another victory. And they really, really were testing me. I was wavering a little bit after that week 1 loss to Florida State. But I think they bounced back from that, albeit against a couple of lesser opponents. I think they've bounced back. I think that's always going to be in the back of their minds, that loss right there. Kind of like Notre Dame last year. Like Marcus Freeman did not let his guys forget about that Northern Illinois loss. Kalen DeBoer is not going to let his guys forget about that Florida State embarrassment. And it's been documented. Jeremy Bernard said this week that he has been a different coach this year. He's usually a down-to-earth, nice guy. He's had to yell a lot, and he's, a really big change. So I think he's going to have him fired up. He's gone on the road before and gotten big victories. So I am going to take Alabama to go into Athens and win straight up.
That definitely surprised me. I didn't expect you to do that. So for me in this game, again, I think it comes down to this is a game where if the Ryan Grubb experience of him coming in is really going to make a difference, the fact that they've had 2 weeks to prepare for this game, and we've seen DeBoer and Grubb in the past have a lot of success in moments like this where they have extra time to prepare. And getting Tim Keenan back along that defensive line, getting Jam Miller back in the running game, and like you said, in the protection game of protecting Simpson on blitzers coming through, Jam Miller is fantastic at that. I think this is a game where we see the wide receivers for Alabama in the passing game, with Alabama is going to be able to have some success here. And honestly, man, you also look to the best defenses that Georgia has faced since Mike Bobo has been at Georgia. Only one time they've won, and that was against Tennessee last year at home. And they lost to Ole Miss last year when they played Ole Miss. They lost to they did beat Texas the 2 times last year, so I'll take that back. But overall, I just think the Alabama passing game is going to be too much for Georgia in this game, and I think Alabama finds a way to go into Athens. And until Georgia shows me that they can get rid of that Alabama monster that lives under their bed, I'm not picking Georgia to beat them. So, yeah, I think Alabama's going to win this game. It's going to be another classic. I think Alabama wins this game by 1 possession and gets a huge W in Athens. Will that be Georgia's first home loss since 2019?
Yeah.
Yep. Well, they haven't played Alabama in a while at home. So
we got a lot working against us.
Yeah. They haven't played Alabama at home in a long time. So maybe that's why that streak has been so long there in Athens. So
We'll see.
I'll take Alabama to win and take care of. Obviously, that means they cover because they're an underdog.
Yep. Let's shift our focus to the Big Ten. We got number 21 USC traveling to Champaign, facing number 23 Illinois at noon Eastern on Fox. Illinois coming in as 6.5-point home dogs. Had a lot of Illinois fans chirping a couple months ago that they weren't going to be underdogs at home to USC. And even before they got absolutely drubbed last week by Indiana, they were still like a look ahead was like 1.5.
Yep.
So it's obviously moved a little bit. That is the key, right? Can Illinois bounce back? Like you talked about on our recap episode, Can they just throw away that tape and just not even think about that game? Can they bounce back at home? They made this game their homecoming. They made USC their homecoming.
Whoa. You
Um,
know that.
that's nasty work right there. So we'll see what the Trojans think about that. Again, we mentioned the games at noon. Is it going to hurt USC? Since 2013, they're 1-12 outright and 1-13 against the spread when playing in Central and Eastern time zones. They beat Purdue earlier this year, playing in the Eastern time zone. This is Central. They did not cover against Purdue. So this is it's going to be an interesting game, and this is obviously a big one for Illinois to start off.
Yeah, it is, man. And where I'm looking at this one, like we talked about it so much last week that Illinois' offensive line is a problem, and how I thought that Indiana defensively would just dominate that matchup up front and would cause just a ton of problems for Illinois. That ended up being true. I just don't know that USC though can are they as I don't they're not as good as Indiana along the defensive front. And they're obviously
No.
not as good as Indiana defensively. They're better. They're better defensively than they've been, but they're not there yet on that point.
Mm-mm.
And if Illinois can't win that matchup, if they can't win the line of scrimmage on the offensive side of the ball and give Luke Altmaier time and run the football and just control the game from the line of scrimmage on the offensive side, they're going to get their break speed off of them again, man. They're going to get pantsed again because you said it, dude, last week. How many times did we watch Illinois just play some soft coverage and just Indiana receivers just run 8 or 9 yards and turn around? Like they were just giving up 10 or 15 yards constantly. And dude, Indiana's got great wide receivers, but honestly, USC is just as good or better
Yeah.
wide receiver position. And Lincoln Riley's offense is just as good or better than Indiana's offense, and has been as balanced as you could possibly be so far this year. I mean, USC's Lincoln Riley teams, one of the things they did really well when he was at Oklahoma and even early on in his time at USC, the best offenses that Lincoln Riley has had, they lead the country, or they're top. They're not lead, they're like top 10 in the country in yards per carry. And they're doing it again this year. They are
Mhm.
running the football, and Jaden Mayava is playing within the Lincoln Riley system, which is why this offense has been the best in college football through the first few weeks of the season. So, I mean, as far as spots go, dude, it doesn't set up much better than this. I mean, USC played at 10 o'clock at night, uh, Eastern time or whatever it was, or 11 o'clock
11.
Eastern. Yeah,
Yeah.
11 o'clock Eastern time. And then they've got to now go across country basically to Champaign with Illinois coming off an embarrassing loss like that, basically playing for their season, their college football playoff hopes. I know they had hopes to making a playoff before the year started. I didn't necessarily think that was going to happen, but still, that team and Bielema still believes that they can do that. Uh, I mean, they've got to win the matchup, man, along the offensive line. And then on defense, if USC runs the football and has success running the football, I don't know how Illinois is going to stop them. I could
Yeah,
think.
you gotta think Illinois is gonna wanna run the ball because they only
Yep.
gained 2 yards on the ground last week against Indiana.
Yep.
Obviously, they're playing from behind a lot, but they yeah, like you said, they've gotta be able to get movement up front. I think they will be able to run the ball a little better. Obviously, being at home too, having the home crowd behind you, big noon kickoff, all that hype and excitement. You've gotta think also too, Lincoln Riley and USC, they've had to have learned something last year from going on the road to Maryland, to Minnesota, losing those games, but playing in the central time zone, playing all the way on the East Coast. You got to think they are changing stuff up this week. I mean, I've heard they were changing stuff up, in fall camp practices, having 6 a.m., 7 a.m. practices. They know they're going to have to travel across time zones 3, 4, 5 times this year because they
Yep.
got a trip to Notre Dame coming up in a couple weeks. So he's not just a terrible coach like people are saying in the offseason. He's gonna make adjustments too. It's just maybe it takes him a little longer.
Yep. And what's kind of scary, by the way, I said that I don't think that USC's defense, they're not as good as Indiana up front. And so far, USC hasn't played some great competition. I mean, they did play Sparty last week,
Mhm.
but dude, they've got 16 sacks and 95 tackles for a loss
Yeah. Yeah.
so
And you
far this
saw
year.
last week, Illinois could not protect Altmaier at all.
No. And I'm just so I've watched a countless amounts of Illinois football this year because I had them. I backed
Mhm.
Illinois against Duke, so I watched all 4 quarters of that game. And obviously, the amount of prep and study we put into that game against Indiana last week. I mean, man, again, I don't believe in that Illinois offensive line right now until they show me otherwise. And then again, on the other side of the ball, I mean, what I watched Indiana do to them running the football and stuff last week. I said USC. I just went and looked it up. USC right now is averaging 7.1 yards per carry as a team. Like Wayman Jordan's averaging 7.8 himself.
Yeah.
So it's just I just haven't seen anything yet at this point, man. That I do think Illinois is going to have a little more success offensively in this one. I think I'm going to really inspired, like wounded animal mode effort out of them in this game. Obviously, USC is not going to be in the friendly confines of the Coliseum, so stepping away from the Coliseum. But I like the fact that USC has already had an East Coast trip this year, like you alluded to, when they went to Purdue. Uh, I think USC wins this game. I think that offense is just going to be too much. And I think, again, until Illinois' offensive line can show me that they can hold up and protect Luke Altmaier and actually be able to run the football consistently, they've not ran the football well all season long. That I just think USC is going to be too much in this game, and they find a way to win. It's not a best bet or anything like that, but I think USC wins this game.
I am gonna make a best bet in this game. I'm gonna take USC minus 6.5.
Okay.
I'm gonna take them on the road. I'm gonna take them to buck the trend of the Central and Eastern time zones. I just think this could be a case where Illinois is the tape is out there from the Indiana game, so teams know what to do. I think Lincoln Riley feels like his offense is right up there with Indiana, so he knows what to do against that soft secondary. I mean, they've still got some injuries back there. Um, I think they're going to make adjustments. If the game's starting at noon, I just think that this could be like a Clemson case where, like, they just they can't recover from a beating like that quickly 7 days later. They could prove me wrong. They could win this game outright, right? But I just think it's more likely USC wins, and I think it's more likely USC wins by double digits in this game. I think Illinois keep it close for a while, but I'm really, really impressed with Jaden Mayaba, Makai Lemon, Jacoby Lane. He didn't play last game against Sparty. They still put up 45. He's questionable for this game. Like, if he plays, that's just an added bonus on top for the Trojans. But I'm going to take USC, and I'm going to take them minus 6.5 in this game for another added best bet there.
Nice. Yeah. Well, USC's got a linebacker, by the way, Eric Gentry, that's got over 3 sacks on the year, like 3.5 sacks already on the year. That type of a rush, a speed rusher like that, going to be coming off the edge and blitzing and stuff. Yeah, man, it's just going to be tough sledding for that Illinois offensive line again, I feel like.
Let's shift our focus to Friday night, 9 p.m. on Fox. We got another Big 12 clash. Number 24 TCU at Arizona State. Arizona State comes in favored by, you guessed it, minus 2.5 is the line. That's the line with every single Big 12 game. It's a rule. It's a law now. You have to have it within a field goal.
Yeah, it's 2.5 to 3.5. Yeah, right there, 2.5 to 3.5.
So that's a big storyline too. It's another big close Big 12 game. Arizona State impressed the heck out of me last week going on the road to Baylor. We both took Baylor in that game, and Arizona State came in on the road, and that was like a lower scoring game than we thought it was going to be. Like, I think you kind of automatically assume those two teams, and especially Sawyer Robertson and those guys, they're going to light it up. So Arizona State's defense and how they contain Sawyer Robertson was very impressive to me. They've got another challenge yet again this Friday against Josh Hoover, who was one of our, I think we had him top 10, top 12 at least. He was number 2 or 3 in the Big 12 as far as quarterback rankings go. He's just been on another level so far this year. Obviously, they got wins over North Carolina and SMU. So it's not like they haven't played nobodies out there. But yeah, to me, it all comes down to, like, and I know they're not on the field at the same time, but it's Josh Hoover versus Sam Levitt. Who's going to make more plays out in Tempe?
Yeah, really, it's whichever defense steps up in this one. What's alarming with the Arizona State deal, like I'm with you. I watched a lot of that game that night. What's impressive about Arizona State's win is Kelly Dillingham mentioned it after the game. He said, that was ugly. I mean, we were +3 in the turnover margin and had to kick a field goal with time expiring to win, which is alarming. That is.
Yeah.
When you're +3 in the turnover margin and you still that's what it took for you to win by 3 at the end of the game by field goal. That is a little alarming. Uh, and I mean, again, I'm just not sure. Arizona State's past it. They've been tested, obviously, already with Sawyer Robertson, and they were tested by Blake Shapen at Mississippi State earlier this year. I mean, Josh Hoover right now has got 1,000 yards passing and 11 touchdown passes, 68% completion percentage. He was the second leading passer in all of college football, as far as yardage is concerned, coming into this season, only behind LSU's Garrett Nussmeier. So he was supposed to be really good, and he's been everything as advertised. And dude, like Eric McAllister has been one of the best, if not the best receiver in college football through the first few weeks of the season. Like him and Tyson for Arizona State, both. McAllister for TCU, Tyson for Arizona State are two of your better receivers so far through the first few weeks of college football. And so, which defense can step up and get some stops? And it's like one of those deals, too. It's not necessarily like, I think both teams are going to be able to move the football against each other. It's who can make who kick field goals in this game. Who can bow up in the red zone, keep you out of the end zone, and make you kick field goals? Because as good as both of these quarterbacks can be, uh, I mean, it's almost like a win when you hold the other team to a field goal in a game
Yeah.
like this, especially as explosive as TCU has been overall. Uh, I mean, dude, I was impressed last week that TCU SMU's really good offensively. SMU's issue is not on defense. That's for sure. And the fact that in today's college football, these high powered, like really good offenses, like if TCU, every game on their schedule this year, if they hold the team to 24 points, they're probably going to win with as good as their offense
Oh,
is.
yeah.
So holding SMU to 24 points like that, I thought was pretty impressive, man. And I mean, they held them to 384 total yards. TCU had 519 yards against
Yeah.
SMU. So, in this one for me, it's like which defense can step up and make plays, and which defense can keep the other one out of the end zone and the red zone. Uh, Gosh, man,
I'm expecting a wacky game. For
yeah,
some reason, these Thursday night, Friday night games, especially, you got a ranked team going on the road to a team that was kind of like, Big 12 preseason favorite. A lot of teams, a lot of people picking them to go back to the Big 12 title game. I was one of them. This is a
yep,
huge game
yep.
for Arizona State. Um, so obviously not in like the Big 12 race, but they already have that loss to Mississippi State on their record. So massive game in Tempe. Um, Preseason wise, we were all looking at Sam Levitt, gonna make some plays. We're looking at Kanye Udo. We were looking at Jordan Tyson. Kenny Dillingham has got that program trending in the right direction. Sonny Dykes is kind of trying to rebound from the last couple of years after that national title appearance. Had a couple rough years. Obviously, he's got a really good quarterback there now. Preseason, I took Arizona State to win this game because I probably picked mostly home because these are 50-50 toss-up games, right?
Yep.
I know I did the same. Did the same thing with Alabama-Georgia preseason pick. This is one where I think I'm going to switch it. I'm going to take TCU to go in to Tempe and win the game. Um, there's just something about how Josh Hoover's looked. Something just I know they won last week at Baylor, but something about Arizona State just feels like a little off. And I don't know if it's because Scadaboo's not there. It's just
Yep.
it feels a little off. Obviously, like you said, concerning that they were up 3 in the turnover battle and had to win on a last second field goal. But I just think there's something about TCU this year and something about Josh Hoover. I think he's gonna be able to make some throws against that defense. But it should be a wild atmosphere. But I'm gonna take TCU to win.
This one's a complete toss up for me, man.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I mean, if you again, I'm not going to be scared. I'm going to give a pick. I think I'm with you. I just think there's something off with this Arizona State team compared to what they were last year. They showed a lot of toughness, a lot of grit to get that win last week on the road at Baylor and be down, 3 in the turnover margin like that and still get the W. Or up 3, sorry, in the
Yeah.
turnover margin and still find a way to, they win that game. I'm with you, man. I think Josh Hoover is on fire right now. I think this offense is rolling for TCU. And I think Arizona State's going to have a tough time stopping them. It could be a shootout. But I like TCU to get it done in this game. I don't feel great about it, but that's the pick I'm giving here. I'll take TCU.
Let's head up to the Pacific Northwest. Let's make a stop in the fishbowl, huh? Why don't we? First time
Okay.
this year, we're going to Washington. Ohio State, number one in the land, traveling to face the Huskies. The Purple Rain, 3:30 on CBS. Opened at 10.5 was the spread. Now it's down to 8.5. Yeah, I think it was as high as 14.5, 13.5 a couple weeks ago. So the spread has come down a full touchdown in favor of the Huskies. Um, my thoughts initially on this game, when we saw Devin Dampier last week go up against a really good defense in Texas Tech. That's immediately where I go to when I look at Damon Williams. Is he going to perform like Devin Dampier did in that game? Damon Williams, if you look at his statistics and what he's done so far this year, he's been elite.
Yep.
And I know they played Colorado State and Washington State, and competition wise, it hasn't been great, but he has been an elite level quarterback.
Yep.
Um, in my opinion, in our opinion, in preseason, we talked about it too. I don't think anything's changed. He's better than Julian Sand right now. The problem is Damon Williams has to go up against Ohio State's defense. Julian Sand gets to go up against Washington's defense. So I don't think it may not look. You might not turn that game on at 7 o'clock on Saturday night and be like, "What do you mean Damon Williams is better than Julian Sand? Look at this game, right?"
Yep.
It's deeper than that, right? It's deeper than that. This is the first road start for Julian Sand in his career. So, obviously, can the Washington D slow down Ohio State offense? That's what it comes down to. We talk about the 4 units, offenses and defenses. The Washington defense is by far the weakest unit.
Yep.
Like Damon Williams is a fantastic quarterback. He is going to have to play lights out, and that D is going to have to create something on defense. They're going to have to create some turnovers. They are 43rd in Kelly Ford's defensive rating for their power rating. And that performance right there is not going to cut it against I'm going to say potentially explosive offense in Ohio State. We haven't really seen it this year. They didn't have to do anything against Texas because Texas couldn't do anything on offense against their defense. Yeah, they beat Grambling 70-0, whatever. And they, kind of exploded in the second half against Ohio, right? So that's really all we've seen of them this year. Washington, I mean, for their defensive faults, they are 3rd in yards per carry allowed. So they can slow down the running game, which obviously will help their pass rush, hopefully get home against Sand, and they are on offensive side. Like I said, they've been elite with Damon Williams, Jonah Coleman, Denzel Boston. They're number 1 in third down conversion percentage. So they're going to have to keep extending drives against that Matt Patricia-led defense. So in your opinion, what's the path to an upset here for Washington?
Gotta ugly it up, man. They've got to force some turnovers. They've absolutely got to win the turnover battle. They've got to hit explosive plays with Damon Williams and Denzel Boston and Jonah Coleman and that, 3-headed monster there at that offense. I mean, Damon Williams has to be the explosive, elite, dual threat guy in this game for them to win. Like in games like this, I didn't really mention it much in the Alabama-Georgia breakdown earlier, but like in the bigger games like this, your best players, your elite players, your difference makers have to be that in games like this. We saw Jeremiah Smith in that playoff run last year for the Buckeyes. He was exactly that. He was a difference maker. He was just better than everybody that they played against. And that's exactly what like Travion Henderson did that in the playoffs as well for Ohio State. For Washington to compete and to win the game, they need to force some turnovers on defense, rattle Julian Sand, and they need Damon Williams to be Superman. And because most teams don't have a guy like Damon Williams, a true dual threat, explosive guy like that. Like other teams have dual threat guys, yes, but not like this cat. And if this is your first time watching him, I mean, he's exciting to watch, no doubt about it. No question. So for me, man, I think it just sucks for Washington that the Buckeyes had a week off. 2 weeks to prep for this game. I mean, I know that we talked about like what was Matt Patricia going to be like coming into this season. seeing the game plan that he had against Texas, like all the stuff that Dan Orlovsky showed on his screen after the game when he really got deep into the X's and O's about how Patricia just did a masterful game plan of showing you one picture and showing you something else. Like, dude, Damon Williams is really exciting and explosive and all those things. And like, I love watching him play just like you do. Bro, he ain't ever seen anything like what he's going to see this week, man, with the Buckeyes. As
Yeah,
far
and
as,
I think that's where his legs can help him though. I
no, I
mean,
agree.
when he gets a different look, like I think that's going to be one of his first instincts. And obviously, I think they're going to play it a little better. I don't think I'd have to go back and look at the game film. I'm not sure they kept a spy on Arch a lot.
Yeah.
They're going to have to keep a spy on Williams because I mean he is lightning quick, and Fish is going to have some sort of wrinkles in the game
Oh, for
plan.
sure.
Yeah, some plays that he's got saved back in the bag. Like they've been circling this game, for a long time. They get them coming to their house. Like, are you surprised at all by the line move?
A little bit. I mean, it's twofold, man. Like, when do you ever when the Buckeyes aren't playing a top 5 team, when do you ever get the Buckeyes at single digits in a Big Ten game?
Hmm.
You really only get that when they're playing a really good Michigan team or Penn State or Oregon.
Yeah,
So the fact that you're getting the Buckeyes at single dig in a game, it's enticing. But on the flip side, Washington is one of the best home teams in all of college football. You're gonna get Washington at home, like getting 8.5 to 10 points. I'm
I'm
surprised.
really,
I'm
I'm,
surprised it's
yep,
under 10.
yeah,
I'm
I'm
surprised it's
really
under 10.
interested. It's the like you mentioned, the noise, man, the noise up there in the Northwest, whether it's the Seahawks Stadium or it's Washington, doesn't matter.
Autzen,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, it's the way they build them up there.
yep,
That noise, they keep the noise in. Again, Saban's first start,
yep,
Brian Hartline's first game as an offense coordinator on the road.
yep.
They're going to have to go silent. That offensive line is going to have to kind of keep an eye on the ball as they're watching their man too. See when that ball is snapped. Like there's just a lot of stuff that goes into just even getting the snap off in situations like that. But that's where Ohio State, I think, from the very, very beginning, you come out, you run the ball, you go out, you score early, you try to quiet that crowd down as much as you can.
Yeah, I don't disagree, man. Well, I'm going to give a game pick here. I think that Ohio State's just wide receivers in their passing game overall in general. I just don't know how Washington is going to be able to create enough defensively to get after Sayan and slowing down that Ohio State offense. And I think defensively, having a guy like Caleb Downs, that they might be able, they might use him a little bit in the spy deal for Damon Williams and Sonny Styles, really good linebackers like that they've got 2 weeks to prepare for this offense. Again, Washington's best chance to win this game is you hit it. You hit it on the head, bro. When all else fails and if things aren't working offensively, just Damon Williams being an elite athlete and taking off and making plays. That's the way that they can stay in this game and win this game. I just think it's too much of a tall task. I just think again the Jimmies and the Joes are a lot different between these two teams. And I just think just Husky Stadium being Husky Stadium and being so loud. Yeah, I just think Ohio State gets it done, man, and takes care of business and wins this game.
All right, so another preseason projection here. I had, my original projection, I think I told you, like, I was kind of down on Ohio State. I was like, I think they could go up to Washington and lose this game. Washington gets Ohio State and Oregon both at home this year.
Yep.
So Washington to contend in the Big Ten and for the title race, they got to get one of those games, right? That's bottom line. Absolutely love Ryan Walters as a defense coordinator up there.
Yep.
Think obviously, the cupboard was a little bare. So I think they're, like I said, 43rd in defense in the power ratings. Just not quite there yet. I'm excited to see Ephesians Prysock, the elite DB for Washington, go up against Jeremiah Smith. See what Walters has for Julian Sayin as well on the other, kind of Patricia like. See what he has for them as well. But I said Washington could beat Ohio State in the preseason. I didn't say they were going to. So I'm going to take Ohio State to win. It's not a best bet, but I do like Washington to maybe get under that 8.5. Even if it's a 14, 15-point game, they get a late score to try to do an onside kick, something like that. get under that 8.5, potentially cover. But I just think, yeah, Ohio State's too much. Like, they went up to Oregon last year. Granted, Oregon, much tougher team than Washington is this year, and they lost because Will Howard slid, 1 second too late. This is why they lost. So, that didn't really phase them last year, and obviously, we know Ohio State's team was probably a lot better than this year's team. So, I like Ohio State to win. I do slightly lean Washington to cover.
Okay.
Let's finish off here, man. Let's go down to Stark Vegas. We got number 15 Tennessee going on the road to play Mississippi State at 4:15 Eastern on the SEC network. This line was 10.5 when it opened. And if you listen to our reaction episode that came out Sunday night, Monday morning, I took Mississippi State 10.5. That's gone. Gone.
Sharp.
You can call me sharp.
Absolute sharp.
And then trust me, man, like, it definitely means Mississippi State's going to cover, right? Yeah, for sure. No, we learned our lesson in the past. Numbers don't mean anything. I just saw what I liked there and I took it. It's down to 7.5 now. So full field goal.
The book started shaking when you gave that out on the episode last time. I'm telling you, the book literally, their hands started shaking. They couldn't get that line down fast enough.
Yeah. Bottom line is it's hard to play in Stark Vegas. It's hard to play in Starkville. Those cowbells, man, like, I've never been there. I don't know if you've been there, but I've never been there. And from what people say, like, you don't get the ringing out of your ears for like 48 hours after that. You just can't think of anything else except for cowbells.
Dude, like, road fans don't even want to go there because of it. Like, usually you have like some of these SEC teams, like Tennessee's got such a great following. Like, they may show up, but like, there's a lot of times that road fans don't like going to Starkville because they just honestly don't want to deal with the cowbells. So it really is it's a different world there, man.
Yeah, and we talked about so it's hard to play in Stark Vegas, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many times we got to mention it, man? The home road splits for Tennessee that you always talk about.
Yep.
I went back and looked at it under Heupel. They're 8-10 on the road under Josh Heupel, straight up, not terrible. In the past 9 seasons, so since 2016, they've only won 14 road games.
Yeah,
in those 9 seasons, it's not great. And their home record, like, I think at one point it was 27-5, something like that. It's very, very good in Knoxville. Bulldogs, they're 6-0 in their last 6 games against the spread against ranked opponents. So they know what they're doing when it comes to playing some ranked opponents. I think Jeff Levy's got some stuff working there. Obviously, I think he's going to continue to build the program. Blake Shapen's got to play well. He's got to play like he did against Arizona State. I know you're going to talk about it, but it does worry me a little bit about their run defense and what we saw Arizona State be able to do to them. Fluff Bothwell's got to do something on the ground against that, really good defensive front. We saw what Georgia did. Obviously, Mississippi State's no Georgia, but we saw Georgia was able to have success on the ground against Tennessee. But yeah, I'm not going to take the dogs to win straight up, but 10.5 I definitely loved, and 7.5 I may love as well. We saw Tennessee do this same thing last year. Granted, it's 3-hour earlier start time. They went on the road when Arkansas was straight booty.
Yep.
And I think they might have been double-digit favorites in that game, and they lost outright. So it can happen.
Yeah, Arkansas last year. That's the recipe. You've got to. That's where it starts. You've got to be able to slow down Tennessee's running game, and you've got to make them to where they're just more one-dimensional throwing the football. The difference is, and I can believe we're saying this. The difference is QB1 for Tennessee is just much better than QB1 for Tennessee was last year. Joey Aguilar's played his butt off this year for the Vols and is making some plays in the passing game down the field. Those shot plays you talked about last year during the Tennessee-Bama game, like how many times Tennessee wide receivers were just running butt naked down the field, and Nico was just seeing how far he could overthrow him over and over and over again.
Well, and Aguilar, when you can watch him in that Georgia game, he's not throwing him how Nico was throwing, like these just arcs.
Yeah,
like Joey's throwing rainbows. Like, they are in the air forever, and he's allowing his receivers to just come under it and make some one-on-one plays.
Yep, absolutely. And a lot of times the reason those plays are allowed to work are they run the football and then they play action off of it. It's a numbers game. It's a math game for Tennessee's offense. I'm going to get a little X's and O's here on you. That Art Briles type system. They spread you out and take those wide receivers and put them as far to the outside as they possibly can. and then they put one running back in the backfield, and they try to make you make a decision. Do you want to commit the numbers in the box to stop the run game, or do you want to commit your numbers on the outside to try to stop that passing game on the when you got all of this space now that's open that you have to defend as a defense? And you've got to be able to be good enough with your 4 down linemen and 1 or 2 linebackers, the 5 or 6 players in the box to be able to stop the running game. If you have to commit numbers in the box to stop the run, then they're going to abuse you on the outside and vice versa. That's also why that having a quarterback that can run a little bit, Aguilar's good with his feet too. He's not some explosive runner, but he's good enough with his feet. And that's why Hendon Hooker was so good for Tennessee, because you have another guy now that you can use in the running game. So I just don't know, man, if Mississippi State's good enough with their basically front 6 to 7 that they can put there in the box and just stop Tennessee's running game. Like you got to pick your poison against a Josh Heupel offense. And I got to believe it to see it, man. What I saw in that second half against Arizona State, I can't get that out of my head. When Arizona State literally just decided they were down 17 and they ran the football every play.
Yeah.
And Kenny Dillingham realized we can just run all we want on this team. And Tennessee's running game is much better. Better O-line, better tailbacks, 3 really good tailbacks. And I don't know. I just don't see Mississippi State being able to stop them. Just like we talked about with Washington a second ago against Ohio State. Mississippi State's path to success here, got to get some turnovers, got to get some interceptions against Aguilar. Aguilar last year at Appalachian State, I know it's a different year, different team, all that stuff, but he threw picks. When Georgia got back in that game there late in the second half and stuff, Aguilar had a couple turnovers against Georgia. Mississippi State's got to find a way to turn Tennessee over. And then Levy's offense, I agree with you. I do think that Levy and that Mississippi State offense will have some success. I just think honestly, it's kind of funny because Levy I think he's coached with Heupel before. Mm-hmm. I think maybe was his OC at UCF at one point, maybe. And if not, like it's a very, again, the Art Briles type system. That's what this offense is. There's a lot of similarities. Each coach knows what the other offense wants to be able to accomplish, wants to be able to do. I just think the Jimmies and the Joes are just better at Tennessee. I'd love to try to, we all love as like college football fans, you kind of gravitate towards the underdog story and the chance for an upset and stuff. I don't know, man. I just don't think that Mississippi State's got enough to be able to win this game outright. I don't disagree with you, though. Like, if you make me take one side on this, I might take Mississippi State with the points. But that line getting closer to a touchdown, kind of. At 10.5, I obviously would like it a lot more. That thing under 10, though, just kind of makes me nervous. But my game pick in this game, man, I'm taking Tennessee to win this game. I could see Mississippi State scoring and having some success on offense, but I just think Tennessee's offense is going to have a lot of success against this Mississippi State defense in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just one of two things has to happen. Like Tennessee either goes on the road and they have success on the road finally, or they struggle and Mississippi State is going to find a way to keep it close and perhaps pull an upset off, right? And like that will be massive, massive, massive. I mean, they already beat Arizona State, but to beat an SEC opponent, beat Tennessee, who's just north of you, beat them in an SEC game, huge for Jeff Lebby after the year that they had last year.
Yep.
But you got to think too, like, Heupel needs this game. I mean, doesn't need this game, but Tennessee needs this game. They've already got one SEC loss. So in order for them to stay in the thick of the race for the SEC championship, which, I mean, it's pretty clear they have SEC championship capabilities with the offense and with the defense. I mean, they lost that game. They lost that game to Georgia because the kicker missed a field goal. Let's be honest. They had that game won. Kicker can make a field goal. We're looking at Tennessee as a top 5 team, probably.
Yeah.
Top 7, top 8 for sure. And then this spot will be even more dangerous for them, right? If they are, undefeated and top 10 in the country. So I'm going to stick with Mississippi State plus 10.5. I probably maybe a little opposite of you. Like, I don't like it does get closer. Like, I don't know if I would take Mississippi State plus 7.5 now, but 10.5 double digits. I'm comfortable. I think they can keep it within double digits, but I will lean Tennessee to win the game.
I misspoke a minute ago. I meant to say that I don't like Mississippi State now that the line's at 7.5 as far as against the spread is concerned. The 10.5 was a lot more enticing, the double
Yeah.
digits there, because, like, again, Mississippi State could hang around in this game and it'd be a really good football game, and Tennessee win 34-24
Mhm.
and you cover. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But a 7.5 point line, 34-24, 38-27, whatever that may be, that's
Yep.
a cover for Tennessee. Again, I just think Tennessee's got too much firepower, man, on offense. I think this is more of a Josh Heupel type offense, and that Aguilar gives him the ability to run his offense the way he wants to. And dude, it's not just, I mean, you saw Georgia and Kirby Smart's defense, how much trouble they had against them. I think that's going to be the case for a lot of defenses this year against Josh Heupel's Tennessee offense.
That's it for our big game breakdowns. Catch us tomorrow, next episode. We're going to be back with some more week 5. Obviously, we didn't touch on Oregon, Penn State. We didn't touch on LSU, Ole Miss, who some people think is the bigger game in the SEC, bigger than Alabama, Georgia this week. Notre Dame, Auburn, Indiana, they all go on the road. So we're going to be back with those games and the big game breakdowns on next episodes. Real quick, one game I want to touch on under the radar. We always do under the radar games. Little Friday night action. Florida State, number 8, going on the road at Virginia, 7 o'clock on ESPN. Lines, I think 6.5, 7 right now, about right a touchdown.
It was 7.5 the other day, and now it's dipped under a tutty. There's some Wahoo money coming in.
People are buying the Wahoos, Chandler Morris, Tony Elliott. Again, possible look ahead spot for Florida State going to Miami or hosting Miami. And
first road game.
Again, yeah, these wacky Friday night games are wacky. And I don't want to bring up old history, but shoot, 20 years ago, right? Florida State, number 1 in the country, went on the road and faced Virginia and lost. So Virginia's played well. They got a loss to NC State and CJ Bailey, but they were playing well in that game as well. They played well. I just don't know if they played well enough to keep it super close with Florida State, right?
Yeah, I'm just interested to see what Florida State does against this Virginia offense. Chandler Morris and this Virginia offense, and Tony Elliott calling plays, and they're legit on offense. Like, we talked about them going into the year, that Virginia was a team that can make a little noise. I say make noise, not win the ACC, but like they could be a team that could pull an upset.
Again, you said nobody's talking about them, and they should be.
Right. I said they were.
Again, it's Virginia.
Yeah, I sent you a text last week and said, a team that people aren't talking about, and rightfully so, because they haven't beaten anybody yet. It's like of note, but Virginia playing against Stanford and Virginia playing against Coastal Carolina, like in the past, Virginia is not beating those teams like Virginia has been beating those teams this year. Virginia absolutely pantsed Coastal Carolina, and they spanked Stanford last week. Like, that's not normally what Virginia does. And so, yeah, this will be an interesting test for Florida State to go on the road and to see what they can do in a game like this. But right now, I think Florida State's going to win this game, but it would shock me if Virginia gave them all they wanted and covered whatsoever. But I'm taking Florida State to win.
Yeah, this one has a potential of the line is ticking down and it's like the plucky underdog, but Florida State, for all we know, could be very for real this year.
Yeah.
And they could go in there and just beat the pants off of them. And that I think in any conference, the possibilities of that happen, the ACC is the most likely for that to happen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right. So,
and Virginia's got to be able to slow down that Gus Malzahn Florida State running game. And I just don't know enough we haven't seen Virginia going up against an offense enough yet. Bailey and that NC State offense is very solid, and they lit it up against Virginia. And but again, that was at NC State, different story playing at home. But they're going to have to be able to find a way to slow down that Florida State running game, and I don't know that they can.
Didn't know I was going to break it out this episode, did you?
I did not.
We got an under the radar pick. I don't know if you have one, or if you're going to save yours for the next episode, but
upset alert. You mean upset alert pick?
Upset alert. Yep. That's what I meant. Upset alert. We were talking about it before we hit record on this, but Lance had no idea. He couldn't guess who my upset, of the week was. And
I try to guess before, and Tyler normally will not tell me, but he told me, he said, if you actually guess it, I'll tell you. And I picked like 5 or 6 games, and he just laughed and said, "Nope, not it."
Look,
So
it's ugly. It's ugly, and we are 4 for 4 on our upsets for the year. 4 straight weeks we hit an upset on the money line. So we're gonna try to make it 5 for 5. We never talk about a no hitter as it's happening, but we're gonna talk about this upset streak we got going on here. Are you ready for it?
I can't wait to find out. Just like there are listeners that are finding out right now.
It's so gross. I don't even know if I can. I don't know if I can say it, but I'm gonna say it anyways. I'm gonna take UCLA.
No. Oh gosh.
Oh,
You're taking Nico Iamaleava and the Bruins. Who's even their coach right now? Do we know?
they don't have one. That's the best part. It's a classic case of the game after your coach gets fired. You see it in the NFL all the time. Coach gets fired late in the season, team goes on a little inspired play. Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Props to them, man. 38-6, big win over Wofford last week. And UCLA going on the road. They are playing on the banks of Lake Michigan. They are 6.5-point dogs against Northwestern. Nico is 6.5-point dogs against Northwestern. We've done a full 180 on Nico since 400 days ago, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to back him in this spot, man. They had a bye last week. They were able to kind of straighten things out a little bit, hopefully. Nico's dad's probably the head coach of that team now, like for all we know. Like, I don't even know. But I'm going to take UCLA to go to Lake Michigan to play in that small stadium, that 12,000 seat stadium. 3:30 kick, so 12:30. It's not like an early game. If it's an early game, I'd probably stay away. But eventually, this is their last chance to get a win this year because the schedule after this really, really ramps up. This is their last chance. They got to do something. I think Northwestern is the perfect team to do it against. So I'm going to take UCLA as my upset pick of the week for week 5.
Nico Iamaleava's last stand this week. That's what we'll call it. That's what we'll call it. You're right, man.
You got any? Are you going to wait till next episode or are you getting one out now?
Let's do it now, man. Let's get
Okay,
let's do it right now. I am heading to the I know they probably call it a different name now. I don't care. I still call it the big mustard bottle. I am heading to Pitt. And Pat Narduzzi and the Pitt Panthers and Eli Holstein and the boys. You know when the last time they took the field was, Tyler?
Ooh, do not tell me.
It was in the backyard brawl.
We loved that. We picked West Virginia in that game.
And we had West Virginia plus 7.5 as our upset alert pick of the week to take down Pitt in the backyard brawl, which they did. So now Pitt's next game out, they're getting 4.5 points in the big mustard bottle against Louisville, who were big known respecters of Jeff Brom, Brian Brom, and the Louisville Cardinals, and were big known respecters of Miller Moss and his mother, and Louisville.
Shout out to Emily.
That's right. Louisville is on the road, their first road game of the year, catching Pitt coming off a bye and coming off a loss. I think that Cade Bell offense and Eli Holstein and the Pitt offense is going to get buckets in this game against Louisville, and they're going to score in bunches. I think this game could be possibly a shootout, and I think Pitt gets it done and that they win straight up on their home field against Louisville, and I think that Pitt wins this game, and I'm putting Louisville on upset alert. So give me Pitt plus 4.5 and money line in this game to take down Louisville.
By the way, I just want to clarify. I said shout out to Emily. I did not mean your wife. I meant Miller Moss's mom, Emily Moss. Okay, so
no, it's okay. I get it. And the reason why we say this is because we were showing Miller Moss some love this summer when we were talking about top quarterbacks in the ACC. We threw a tweet out on X. Hey, follow us on X. And Miller Moss's mom was liking our stuff and following us and stuff. So we were like, heck yeah, man, we're getting follows from the moms and likes from the moms. And so, shout out to, you said Emily Moss?
Yeah, but sorry, we're picking against your son this week.
Yeah.
Had to do it.
I was going to say, we're giving shout outs here and we're picking against him. So,
yeah.
But upset alert pick of the week for me is Pitt plus 4.5 to take down Louisville in the big mustard bottle.
Okay. Best bets, I announced on the reaction show. I took Notre Dame, Arkansas over 62.5. I think it's still sitting at 64.5, so it hasn't moved in a couple days. And I got Mississippi State plus 10.5. We alluded to earlier. And then I also added USC minus 6.5 on the road at Illinois. It's a case where Illinois kind of a little similar to Clemson after they lost to Georgia Tech. I was like, let's take Syracuse plus 17.5. And they went in there and won straight up. So could be a situation like that for Bielema and the boys. I'm going to start really next year. Remind me to not give a flying crap about returning production because it doesn't mean a thing in
No.
college football anymore. So those are my three best bets as of this week right now.
Yeah, I gave out Kansas State minus 6.5 in our last episode. Again, they're off a bye. They're kind of trying to get right after being wounded earlier this year. They still have everything to play for. They still have they've only got one Big 12 loss because the Arizona loss on the road was actually a non-conference game. Their loss to Iowa State week 1 on the road in Ireland was their only Big 12 loss. So they got to bye. UCF now is going on the road for their first road game, and Chris Kleiman in Kansas State over the time has been just money at home in the Little Apple in Manhattan. So I'm going to take Kansas State on a buy low situation there under a touchdown to get it done against UCF. And I just gave you one just a minute ago. I've got Pitt plus 4.5, and I'll sprinkle a little on the money line too to beat Louisville straight up. I haven't gotten there yet, but next episode, tune in. I've got a couple more that I'm definitely targeting. I'm kind of leaning toward a little bit right now, Minnesota against Rutgers, and I've got a couple of others. But right now, I've just got two, the Kansas State minus 6.5 and Pitt plus 4.5.
Yep. Tune in next episode. We're going to cover another handful of games for week 5 because the slate is just so massive that we've got to split it up into 2 different episodes here. So we enjoy doing it, though. We love bringing you guys the content. Again, follow us, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, subscribe to the channel, click on the notifications bell. You'll get notifications every time we drop a video, a preview, a game preview. You can just go and look at your own teams you want to. It's under the segments tab of the YouTube channel. So you can go look for, your specific team preview, game preview. If you want to just watch one game preview, we split them up for you. So again, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and X. So we're on there putting out our predictions every week. We're going to have a ton of them this week as we have a ton of game previews. So again, tune in next time for Lance Barton. I'm Tyler Nohe. Take care, and we will see you tomorrow.